There was something wrong with this baby. From the day he was born, he rejected his own mother. He screamed when she touched him. He cried when his siblings came close. But when his grandmother carried him, he became completely calm. Everyone said it was love. But love does not make a baby refuse his mother's milk. Love does not make a child sleep only in one room. Love does not make a mother feel like a stranger in her own home. Mummy Farawak hired many nannies before she finally found one that her baby liked. In the Mustafa family, there was a baby boy named Farawak. His mother's name was Zainab Mustafa. His father had travelled to America after Farawak was born because he won a visa lottery. So the father only helped by sending money and calling on the phone. In the house there were baby Farawak, his two older siblings, one was 3 years old, the other was 5 years old, and their grandmother. From the day Farawak was born, something about him was very strange. Farawak did not like anyone to carry him. Not his mother, not his brother, not his sister. The only person he allowed to carry him was his grandmother. If his mother tried to carry him, he would cry and cry. If his siblings touched him, he would scream. But once his grandma carried him, he became calm. People in the house thought it was normal at first. They said, maybe the baby just loves his grandma too much. But as months passed, it became more strange. Instead of drinking breast milk like other babies, Farawak stopped breastfeeding very early. From about 3 weeks after he was born, he only drank baby formula. His mother tried to breastfeed him, but he refused. He turned his face away. He cried until the grandma came and fed him with bottle. Also, instead of sleeping on his mother's bed, Farawak always wanted to sleep on his grandma's bed. Even at night, when his mother wanted him beside her, he would cry until grandma came to take him. So slowly, the grandma started doing all the mother's job. Bathing Farawak, feeding him, sleeping with him, carrying him everywhere. Zainab, his mother, felt sad about this. She felt like her baby did not love her, but she kept quiet. She believed things would change with time. For the first 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, and even 7 months, everything stayed the same. Grandma was like the real mother. Zainab was like a stranger to her own child. One day, something terrible happened. It was during the rainy season. That day, Zainab had gone to work. She had just gotten a promotion at her office, and she was happy. At home, only 3 people were there: baby Farawak, his 2 small siblings, and their grandma. That afternoon, Grandma had washed Farawak's clothes and hung them outside on the wire. Later in the evening, dark clouds filled the sky. Rain was about to fall. Grandma remembered the clothes outside. She said to herself, "Let me go and bring the clothes inside before rain beats them." As she rushed outside, she did not see a banana leaf on the floor. She had dropped it earlier after eating banana. Because it was already getting dark, she stepped on the leaf and slipped. She fell down very hard. Her leg hit the ground badly. She tried to stand, but she could not. Rain started falling heavily for about 40 minutes. She was lying outside in the rain, crying for help. Inside the house, the small children did not know what to do. They were scared. When Zainab came back from work, she was happy. She had bought food to celebrate her promotion. But when she got home, what she saw changed her happiness to sorrow. She saw her mother lying on the ground, soaked with rain and mud. She dropped the food and rushed to her. That night of celebration turned into a night of tears. They could not go to the hospital that night because it was late and raining. They rubbed mentholated rub on her leg and thigh. Around 4:30 a.m., Grandma's crying woke Zainab from sleep. Her leg had swollen very badly. They had no choice but to take her to the hospital. After 3 weeks in the hospital, Grandma came back home, but this time she could not walk. She was on a wheelchair. Zainab stayed at home for a short time to take care of her mother and the children, but soon she had to return to work because of her new promotion. She needed the money. Now the problem became bigger. Grandma could no longer run around the house. She could not cook properly. She could not chase after the children. She could not carry Farouaq easily again. So Zainab decided to get a nanny. The first nanny came, but Farouaq cried and refused to come near her. The second nanny came, same thing. The third nanny came, same problem. The fourth nanny came. Still, Farouaq rejected her. The fifth nanny came. Farouaq screamed any time she touched him. Everyone was confused. Why would a baby reject every nanny? Grandma would always smile and say, "He does not like strangers. He only likes me." But something about her smile did not look normal. She seemed too happy that the baby rejected everyone. Then the sixth nanny came. Her name was Madame Ober. The moment Farouaq saw her, something changed. Instead of crying, he smiled. Instead of pushing her away, he stretched his hands to her. Zainab was shocked. She said, "This is the one." Madame Ober was hired immediately. As days passed, Farouaq grew very close to Madame Ober. He allowed her to bath him. He allowed her to feed him. He allowed her to carry him. Soon he even preferred her to his grandma. Whenever Madame Ober wanted to go home in the evening, Farouaq would cry. He cried so much that Zainab once allowed Madame Ober to take him home for the night. That was shocking. A baby who only loved his grandma now loved his nanny more than anyone. But Grandma did not like this change. She started complaining. She would say, "That nanny is taking my place. She is taking my grandson from me." She began to look at Madame Ober with angry eyes. Sometimes she would talk to herself quietly. Sometimes she would stare at Farouaq in a strange way. Madame Ober noticed this. One night while Madame Ober was praying in her room, she saw a vision. In the vision, she saw Grandma standing in a dark place. She saw her holding something black in her hand. She heard a voice say, "This woman wants to use the child's destiny to renew her power on his first birthday." Madame Ober woke up in fear. She started praying more. Another night, she had another revelation. She saw Farouaq crying in the spirit. She saw Grandma smiling. That was when she understood. The reason Farouaq did not like his mother was because something was wrong. The reason he only liked Grandma was not normal. The grandma had done something spiritual to tie the child to herself. She wanted full control over him. But now that Madame Ober had entered the house, the power was breaking. That was why the baby was shifting from Grandma to Nanny. That was why Grandma was angry. Madame Ober now faced a big problem. Should she tell Zainab? What if Zainab does not believe her? What if Grandma lies against her? What if she loses her job? She loved Farouaq like her own child. She could not watch him be used for evil. But she was only a nanny. Who would believe her? Meanwhile, Grandma started behaving more strangely. She would whisper words at night. She would touch Farouaq's head when she thought no one was watching. She would warn Madame Ober not to take the baby too much. She said, "Leave him for me. He belongs to me." Those words sounded dangerous. Madame Ober knew something bad was coming, especially because Farouaq was almost 1 year old. And the vision had said, on the night he turns 1 year, something will happen. Madame Ober began to watch closely. She prayed every night. She fasted secretly. She stayed alert. But the question remained, should she speak out now, or should she wait? Because if she made a mistake, she could lose her job, lose her safety, and even lose her life. And Farouaq, he was still an innocent baby, unaware that a battle was growing around him. A battle between a dark secret in the house and a nanny who had become his protector. And as Farouaq's first birthday drew closer, the tension in the house became heavier. Grandma's eyes became colder. Madame Ober's prayers became stronger. Zainab remained unaware. And something dangerous was about to be revealed. But not yet. From the day Madame Ober had that revelation, her heart was not at rest. Every time she looked at baby Farouaq, she felt fear and love at the same time. Fear, because something evil was planned for him. Love, because she wanted to protect him like her own child. Before she used to smile at Madame Ober sometimes. Now she hardly smiled at her again. Sometimes she would say strange things like, "Why is this child following you like that? Are you the one that gave birth to him? You want to take him away from me?" Madame Ober would just smile and keep quiet. But inside her heart, she was shaking. One night Madame Ober heard Grandma talking in her sleep. She was saying words Madame Ober could not understand. Her voice was low and scary. Then she said clearly, "He must be mine," before his first birthday. Madame Ober covered her mouth with her hand. Her legs were shaking. Now she was sure. The dream she saw was true. Something bad was planned for Farawok. The next day, Zainab noticed something. She noticed that Grandma was always calling Farawok to her room. She noticed that Grandma did not like Madame Ober carrying Farawok anymore. She noticed that Farawok would cry whenever Grandma took him alone. This was strange, because before, Farawok loved Grandma more than anyone. Now he feared her. Zainab asked Madame Ober, "Why does Farawok cry whenever my mother carries him now?" Madame Ober wanted to talk, but fear stopped her. She only said, "Maybe he is just growing, Ma." But in her heart, she knew she could not keep quiet forever. Days passed. Farawok's first birthday was coming closer. 3 days to his birthday, Grandma started acting very nice. She began to smile again. She began to sing. She began to tell Zainab, "I want to prepare something special for my grandson." She asked Zainab to buy new clothes for Farawok. She asked her to allow Farawok sleep in her room that night before his birthday. Madame Ober heard this and her heart jumped, because in her dream the voice said, "On the night he turns 1 year." That same evening, Madame Ober went to pray again. She cried. She said, "God, I am only a nanny. I don't have power, but this child must not die. Please show me what to do." That night she slept and saw another dream. In the dream she saw Grandma holding a calabash. Inside the calabash was something black. She saw Farawok lying on a mat. She saw Grandma trying to pour the black thing on him. Suddenly she saw herself in the dream, shouting, "Leave him!" Then she woke up. Sweat covered her body. Now she knew. She could not keep quiet again. Even if she lost her job. Even if Zainab hated her. Even if Grandma fought her. She had to speak. The next morning when Grandma went to the backyard, Madame Ober went to Zainab's room. She knelt down. She said, "Ma, please don't be angry. I need to tell you something." Zainab was surprised. She said, "What is it?" Madame Ober told her everything. She told her about the dreams. She told her about the strange things Grandma says. She told her about Farawok crying when Grandma carries him now. She told her about the plan for the birthday night. Zainab became angry. She shouted, "How can you say my mother is evil? She raised me. She carried me for 9 months." She ordered Madame Ober to leave her room. Madame Ober cried. She said, "I know you won't believe me, but please don't let Farawok sleep in her room that night." Zainab was confused. She was angry, but she was also afraid. Because deep inside her heart she remembered something. She remembered how Farawok refused her breast. She remembered how he only loved Grandma. She remembered how Grandma was always with him. Something was not normal. That night Zainab called her husband in America. She told him everything. The husband was silent for some time. Then he said, "Please listen to the nanny. Let us not take chances." Zainab agreed to watch carefully. The night before Farawok's birthday came, Grandma said, "Bring him to my room. I want to sleep with him." Zainab said, "No, he will sleep in my room tonight." Grandma's face changed. Her eyes became red. She said, "Why? He has always slept with me." Zainab said, "Things have changed." Grandma became angry. She shouted, "You want to take my child from me?" Zainab was shocked. She said, "He is my child, not yours." Grandma stood up from her wheelchair. For the first time in weeks, she stood up. Everyone was shocked. She had not walked since the accident, but now she was standing. Madame Ober screamed inside her heart. She knew something was wrong. Grandma said in a strange voice, "You cannot stop it." Suddenly, she fell back into the wheelchair. She started crying like nothing happened. Zainab became afraid. That night, Zainab locked her door. She slept with Farouok in her room. Madame Ober stayed awake praying. At midnight they heard noise. Someone was trying to open the door. Zainab held her child tightly. They heard Grandma's voice outside. "Open the door," Zainab said. "Go back to your room, Mummy." Then everything became quiet. The next morning, Grandma was found unconscious in her room. They rushed her to the hospital. The doctor said she had a stroke. She could not talk again. She could not walk again. Her eyes were open, but she could not speak. When they searched her room, they found a small calabash under her bed. Inside it were strange things: black powder, feathers, red thread. Zainab cried. She now believed Madame Ober. She hugged her and said, "You saved my child." From that day, Grandma was taken to another relative's house. Farouok became free. He started playing. He started smiling. He started calling Mama for the first time. He began to love his mother. Madame Ober became more than a nanny. She became family. Zainab trusted her fully. And Farouok's first birthday was celebrated in peace. No dark plan happened. No strange dream came again. Madame Ober became known as the woman who saved a child's destiny, and Farouok grew up healthy and happy. Moral lessons 1. Not everyone close to you loves you. Sometimes danger comes from inside the house, not outside. 2. Listen to warnings, even from small people. A nanny saved a child because she spoke up. 3. A mother's instinct should never be ignored. Zainab felt something was wrong and finally acted. 4. Love is stronger than evil. Madame Ober's love and prayer protected the child. 5. Silence can be dangerous. If Madame Ober had kept quiet, Farouok might not be alive.